Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by thesoberclub.com. I'm Jenny Lee Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. So welcome everybody to the Alcohol Free Life podcast. Yay! Live from Club Soda, this fantastic venue. Is anybody brand new to this venue? Yay! Oh wow, you've got a treat in store, haven't you? You're going to go home with, your bag clinking. And who has not been to one of these recordings before? Amazing. Look at that. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much. Well, so some of you who have been before know that just a few months ago, it wasn't long ago, we were here for the last live podcast recording where my guest was Sam Delaney. Now, it's just as if we never left, right?
I haven't left. I've just been around the corner waiting.
He just kind of rolled himself up again and had another alcohol-free beer. But the reason I wanted to just pick up literally where we left off is because in that time, he's managed to pop out another book.
Woo!
And thankfully, it's not the BBC, so I can actually say, stop shitting yourself. I was thinking, how are they going to do that on the BBC? Seriously.
Well, I've done a few BBC shows since it came out.
There's a lot of bleeps.
Different approaches. Five Live let me say it once.
Did they? Well, if it's once,
and then they said you can say it once, and then after that, say something else.
What?
BBC London didn't let me say it at all.
So what do you have to do? Just kind of change it or put a bleep in?
It's called Stop Worrying. And I say, but if you look it up online, Google me, it's the one with the yellow cover.
Excellent. So, tell us about the new book.
Well, it's a follow-up to the last book I told you about last time, which actually came out like 2 years ago. And that was mostly a sort of story about, my journey of getting sober and getting my head straight and being a bit more kind of tuned into mental health and all that sort of stuff. And it did quite well, which I was happy about. And the publisher said, do you want to do a follow-up? And one of the things that was a sort of recurring theme towards the end of that book was the way in which, my approach to work sort of dovetailed with my approach to booze and other habits, was in that I was sort of always hungry for distraction. And I think that just like alcohol sort of was a distraction from my anxiety, I quit alcohol. And to be honest, the anxiety was still there. And I really threw myself into work. And I'd always been prone to doing that.
So that became almost like a new addiction,
in my 20s, I'd burnt out on a few occasions and ended up hospitalised. There was a weekend where I'd ended up hospital. I worked very, very hard in my 20s, but then I would also go out and drink a lot and all the rest of it. And I just burnt out. I ended up in hospital. I had a load of seizures when I was in my mid-20s, ended up in hospital. And I remember they kept me there for the weekend and ran a lot of tests. And the doctor said, you're working hard, you're playing too hard. If you don't slow down, you're going to do yourself serious damage. You're burnt out. And I remember laughing to myself and going, oh, yeah, sure, doc, I'll calm down. But thinking, is he mad? I'm living my best life here. So I never learnt my lesson for many years. And then when I quit drinking, I think I threw myself into work even harder.
Right.
Because it was a new distraction. And then after a couple of years of sobriety, I hit another burnout. And I thought, oh my God, I've changed my life so much. I gave up all my bad habits. I go to therapy, I exercise, and yet I'm still burning out. I'm still hitting these brick walls where, like, mentally and emotionally and physically, I kind of have to, I just sort of, wipe myself out and have to take a few months out. And I thought, why is that? And that was when I realised that really I hadn't addressed a lot of the problems. The problem was I was so hungry for distraction and for numbing my feelings the whole time, and that my anxiety was still just as bad as ever, that I had to work on that.
Yeah.
And this book is about various lessons I have learned about stepping back, taking care of myself, worrying less. And it's about really how if the first book's about why I developed a drink problem and how I kicked that, this book is more about how I've learned to live a sober life in a healthy and productive and positive way.
It's a real thing, isn't it? Because when people quit, I mean, there is this sort of assumption that the second you quit, life's going to all be, rainbows and bunnies and everything, and everything's going to be perfect. But for some people, there's a gap. there's kind of a huge gap. Like, how the hell do I feel this? Like, well, what do I do now? Particularly if drinking was kind of all you did.
Yeah.
And you know, for many of us, we've been there, right? You know, I used to think of drinking as everything. It was the socializing. It was definitely my self-care, or that's what I thought. That was my treat. So what the hell do you put in place when you've taken that away? It takes a bit of thought, doesn't it?
I threw myself into work and exercise so hard in the first couple of years, but I thought that was a positive response to sobriety, because I thought, I've been given this gift of extra energy and clarity and drive and all this extra time on my hands. But I was still damaging myself, just in, you could argue it was a slightly less toxic way, but the results were often just the same. Like, for instance, I was quite disengaged emotionally still at home, because I would work very hard all week, and then at weekends, you know, I would be grumpy and tired, you know, so I would be sort of not that fully engaged as I wanted to be, which was similar to when I'd been drinking. I'd be hungover, you know, and it was the same. I was kind of hungover from work, and I would also use any spare time to go out running, because I became obsessed with fitness. So it's all kind of unhealthy stuff. And anyway, in the last few years, probably, I mean, I'm 10 years sober this June, and it was over the last, thank you. And then it was like over the last sort of 5-6 years, I kind of, probably lockdown, I started to really, you know, sort of embrace a kind of more restful lifestyle and introduce for the first time in my entire life the notion of balance. Yeah. And which was just something that I thought was silly. I think
also, you know, there's guys they're not always very good at this stuff. You know, I mean, we you know, gals do tend to talk quite a lot about self-care, even if we don't do it. Yeah. But I know that's where you're making a massive difference, because you're actually talking to men about, you know, self-care. Sometimes that's probably quite hard to get across.
It is, but what I've tried to do is I had this phrase which was glamorise rest, right? So I found I started to realise that the whole kind of I'm so busy, I'm so driven, I've got so many ambitions thing, I kind of thought, in a way, it's kind of corny and weird, right? And it's sort of like macho in a very old-fashioned way. And I thought about the sort of heroes that I grew up like admiring when I was younger, were people who were either a bit rebellious and cheeky, right? So whether that was sports people like Gaza, or, you know, just the sort of characters on TV that I used to like, or they were kind of cool guys. You know, if you go right back to the icons of sort of masculinity, like, you know, your Paul Newmans or Steve McQueen's, these were cool people. They were cool people, or they were rebels, or most of all, I liked people who were funny and cheeky. And none of that had anything to do with this sort of high performance culture that I feel has taken over modern masculinity, which is extremely serious, right? And quite boring, and is all about being quite self-important and pushing yourself to the limit.
And building up your testosterone.
Yeah, and I look at these influencers online, I think, I wouldn't want to hang around with any of these guys. And it's not just now that I wouldn't. When I was a kid, these were not the sort of people who I kind of aspired to be like. And so, you know, I sort of I do a couple of podcasts. One is specifically about mental health. The other one's really just a comedy one, but we have like a large male following. And we started to talk about rest as a sort of almost like an aspirational thing, right? And we started to glorify it and talk about all the different ways in which we rested, and almost boast about it in the way that we felt that more boring men boasted about the fact that they'd been up doing a fucking ice bath at 5 a.m., right? And we would get on the podcast and talk about, I had a cracking nap on Thursday. It was absolutely
it's definitely
sensational.
Underrated, isn't it?
I was like, it started small, but it actually got slightly out of hand. And then we started talking about how we invested our money. People talk about, not crypto, we invest in the comfort market, which is like when we made a bit of money, we'll go and like really invest in an extra good pillow. Or something like that, or some nice slippers, right? And, you know, it's about glamorising rest and embracing it. And it doesn't mean that you give up on your dreams or ambitions. And we've all got to earn a living. It's not like I suddenly won the lottery. I still have to work to pay the bills. But the difference is I have balance, and I stopped measuring myself, my own personal value, on the basis of my productivity, right? I've been through those years. I've worked my balls off. I've burnt myself out. I've neglected relationships and my own health. And I fulfilled some ambitions in my life. But none of it quite made me that happy. And I'm happier now than I ever was because I still work. I still have some kind of ambition professionally. My main ambition really is to just pay my mortgage and then, sit on the sofa and watch a film with my kids, And so, I sort of switched my perspective. The best way it can be summed up is that, I used to be one of those people like a lot of people do, and they go, you bump into someone and they go, how have you been? And you automatically go, great, really busy, as if that is an explanation of what, that is what great means. Now I go, I don't lie, but what I like to say when it's true is, we go, how you been? I go, really good. I haven't had that much on recently, right? To me, that's like a flex because it's like,
I love it.
I haven't been bothering myself with, pointless and soulless and tedious business of work and self-improvement. I've been having fun. I've been relaxing. I've been walking my dog. I've been having a laugh with my pals. I've been hanging around my kids. I've just, I've been having fun.
Yeah.
And, I thought it was a timely book to write because high performance culture is coming to define a certain type of masculinity. And it's really boring.
Yeah.
And, I like all of my books about these subjects to be fun and funny because I think that's an easier way to engage an audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're quite right, as it says on the back, life is not a race. Absolutely true. And I think you're right. It's about setting a few boundaries for yourself, even if you don't necessarily realise that's what you're doing. Because when we're drinking, a lot of people are people pleasers.
Yeah.
So the sense is, if somebody asks you to do something, yes. The amount of times I said yes when I really meant no, and then by the time it came around, I was too embarrassed to say no.
Yeah.
But I now realise, that lovely phrase, no, is a complete sentence. It is, just no. So when we start to take a bit more care of ourselves and we can set some boundaries, we realise that actually you don't have to do everything. It's all right just to do what you want to do, right?
I should leave it a note. I write in the book that very often now mates will go, do you want to do this or do you want to come to this party or something? And instead of just saying no, I've got this phrase that I think's funny, but it probably irritates people. Go, no, I'm afraid I cannot do that because I don't want to.
So you don't even bother with, I'm washing the cat.
I should just say no. And they go, what? And I go, I'm really sorry. I just can't on account of the fact that I'm unenthusiastic about attending that.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah. And that's the kind of bravery that you only get through sobriety.
I think so, but it takes a while, doesn't it? Like you said at the beginning, like you think, I remember like the pink cloud phase where I thought I had it cracked over 6 months and then suddenly you're like, oh no. And, it doesn't take the same amount of time for everyone, but for me, it was probably lockdown. I think that had an effect on a few people. I started reading about this sort of movement in America called the soft life movement, right? Yeah. And I just sort of like got so kind of engrossed in that. And I don't think I've quite been able to embrace that fully because there are imperatives and there are practicalities in life which mean I can't just retire to the woods and start whittling objects and selling them on Etsy.
There's quite a few things that when you look up slow, there's all kinds of versions of slow, isn't there? There's also The Idler in the UK. Have you read The Idler stuff?
Yes,
that's quite
I'm
fun.
actually writing a piece for The Idler about just this at the moment. Yeah,
literally the joys of chilling.
Tom Hodgkinson's books.
Yeah.
There's one called... What's it called? How to Do Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
And How to Be Free.
How to Be Free.
And those two books, I read both of them when I was still drinking, and I remember loving them. And it was like, I think it was a sign from the universe before I was in tune enough with the universe to notice it. Because I did burn out. I was working a horrible job in television at the time, and I had a few weeks off with effectively just exhaustion. And I read both those books, and I thought they were fantastic. And it's how I met Tom Hodgkinson, who runs The Idler, because I sought out his emailed him, said, these books are incredible, they've changed my perspective on life. And he went, yeah, great, thanks. And then, but the truth is that as soon as I was better, I just went back to working hard and drinking and, just living a bad life, really, or a life that was bad for my health. So I think I should have noticed them. Why is it these books are speaking to me so much, and yet I'm not following any of the advice in them? Yeah. But I can really highly recommend both those books.
Definitely, yeah. I think what you're kind of underlining here as well is the fact that everything that we talk about is about so much more than just not drinking.
Yes.
The sobriety piece has to underpin it. Of course it does. Has to lay all the foundations. But, we have messages from people in the Sober Club who'll say, Oh, I know. You talk about this joy and this and that, and I've been sober for 6 months, or I've been sober for 8 months, and I'm just not feeling it yet. I've got this going on, and I've got gaps in my life exactly like that. I don't quite know how to fill my time. And it's because you have to do the work. Once you quit, you have to do the work, don't you? Because it's all about how you're going to put the time and effort into creating that life that you don't want to escape from anymore. But it does take some time, and it's a different amount of time for everyone, as you say.
I mean, to be honest, a lot of this book towards the end is just about the hobbies that I embraced and that I never in a million years.
Oh, come on then, tell us those.
Well, I mean, on the face of it, they sound boring. But I mean, for instance, a really good one is I got really into forest bathing.
Oh, yeah.
Which I must admit, I kind of got commissioned by the Telegraph to go and be trained in forest bathing.
Cool.
And, even sober, I was like, it sounds like a right load of old bollocks. And then I was just like, absolutely.
Can I tell you my forest bathing story?
Yeah, go on.
Because I went to a retreat, and as part of this retreat, I saw on the kind of itinerary that we were going to be doing forest bathing. So I thought, great, well, that's exactly the sort of thing that I'm going to absolutely love. But then I noticed that we were meeting at something like 12:30, and it didn't end till 5. And I'm thinking, I don't mind a tree, but 5 hours? You have to be kidding me. 5 hours of bloody trees? Seriously. But actually, it was incredible.
Yeah.
So tell me about your experience.
Well, I just went and, I spent the day with the Forest Bathing Institute at some ancient woodland in Sussex, and I came away completely converted. Yeah. And now I'm lucky enough to live right next to Richmond Park, and I go there every day, and I do little things like I just don't ever wear my headphones when I'm in the park, and I spend time looking and listening and tuning into it.
Do you have a little chat to the tree?
Sometimes if no one's about, but I mean, I don't want to...
They answer. They definitely answer.
There are certain things
they do
with forest bathing that you still... I mean, I've embraced it, but, I know people in that area, right? And the bit... So it's nice to look up and listen to the birds, but when you're talking to a tree, which I will do sometimes...
Yeah, definitely.
Or even when you're just picking up the dirt or stroking a bit of bark, that's where you draw the line if there's a lot of people around. Because you think, come on, I have to maintain some sort of reputation for sanity.
Okay, so we got forest bathing. What else?
Some of it's to be honest, napping there's a lot of napping stuff. And to the extent that, again, for an article, I interviewed a lot of kind of leading experts and professors of sleep about, I mean, this is a bit high performance in as much as I started to investigate and research the science of napping.
Did you?
Which is a bit of a wanky thing. In a way, it's like I'm contradicting myself because I hate all these high performance guys who try to do everything to perfection.
Make everything
and
scientific,
I hate perfectionism culture. But I've kind of employed perfectionism culture by trying to design the perfect nap for myself. But, it's just that it's other things that I do. I mean, I started maybe it might not be sobriety or enlightenment. It might just be middle age. But, I started getting into different sorts of music. I started going to... I became immersed in jazz. I became immersed in, puzzles and stuff like this. I know, it's daft.
Not sure about that.
The thing is, it's just I opened my mind to try things to fill the void that there had been before, that had been filled since I was effectively 13 years old, which is amazing. That's how old my son is now, right? Between 13 and 40... I had filled so much of my time with drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
That I thought, after a few years of them filling that time with other things that burnt me out, like exercise and work, that in the end I thought, I'm now open to almost anything.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? When it gets suggested, I will do it. And I used to go and do things that on the face of it were very boring, but I drank through them. Right? Whether that was social things or even sports or events I went to, because people would go, let's go to this, it'll be a right laugh, we'll get pissed. Right? And then you go, but now I still will go to, but I still, for instance, one of the things that I continue to do that I thought, I wonder if I'll be able to still do this when I'm sober, is go to football. I've gone to football with my mates my whole life since I was a little boy, and I still go with the same mates now all these years later. And there was obviously a big drinking culture around that, especially when we were younger. And some of them still like to go and have a lot of pints in the pub. And I found that I still like to go and see them because I loved seeing them. I loved the banter. I loved having a laugh and catching up and socialising. But what I noticed was was that now, when I start to get bored, I simply go home.
Yeah.
Whereas before, when I started to get bored, I'd have another drink.
Push through, yeah.
And then I realised the amount of things that I drank just to make less boring. So one of the things I say in the book is, when things get boring, just go home and do something else.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love the fact that you're just opening up to whatever's there. Just become curious about whatever it is. I always say, think about, all the ings, whether it's, baking, puzzling, napping, singing, all the ings apart from drinking, right?
Yeah.
So just tell us then, what will we get from this fantastic book?
Well, it's broken down into chapters.
Oh, you've got life lessons,
Stop
I
shitting
noticed.
yourself. 15 life lessons that might help you calm the fuck down. Right. This is like.
Is swear more one of them?
Yeah, and I've managed to. In the last 3 weeks, I've been on so many radio shows and I've managed to get it through. I'm so proud of myself.
I know.
To have managed to
it's really
convince
impressive.
people to let me promote this.
I know, absolutely. I tell you what, it's an art, isn't it? I think you and me both share the art of actually being able to switch it off, which is quite something.
Yeah.
'Cause, I swear like the whole time, but I managed to get on the radio and zip it. I'm quite impressed with myself.
There has been a couple of slip-ups in my broadcasting career, but not many, right? But, I think that... I think what you get out of it is, right, the reason I had a lot of anxiety is the world is designed for anxiety for lots of reasons. We've got social media in which we're comparing ourselves to everyone else. We've got the economy which pushes us all to be productive non-stop and, whatever you do for a living, you're almost always, whether you realise it or not, being asked to do more than you're being paid for, right? And then on top of that, you've just got the sort of voice inside of you fueled by things like advertising that tell you your life isn't quite good enough, you're not quite good enough. So those three things are just constantly filling you all with anxiety. And we grow up in that culture. It's almost hardwired into us by the time we get to middle age. And I only got better once I got sober. And then after a few years of sobriety with that anxiety still bothering me non-stop, when I started to address that and thought there were a load of false messages encouraging me to feel shit about myself, to feel guilty every single day and feel like I'm not enough. So I'm going to address that. And I go through all the different areas. So some of it is about, masculinity and your sort of identity as a bloke. But there's stuff in there, whatever gender you happen to be, there's stuff about, there's a whole chapter about drink, about your health and your fitness, about money, about work, about perfectionism. And each chapter is, so one's like, stop shitting yourself about being perfect. Chapter 2, stop shitting yourself about money. Stop shitting yourself, and so on and so forth. You can see the gag. I wanted to give it a more intellectual title, but the publishers...
I'm sure you did.
I actually did. I genuinely did. And the publishers were like, can you put a bit of swearing in the title to be a bit more shocking? I go, why? And they go, I would think your kind of readership would enjoy that. So I was like, I'm trying to elevate myself into like a more sophisticated realm here. And they're like, stay in your lane, Delaney. Put a swear word on the cover again. So
yeah, absolutely.
What are you going to do?
No, I absolutely love it. And I love the fact that you are encouraging, well, everyone, but certainly guys, to think about stepping into that new version of themselves, which it is the kind of stuff that women talk about a lot, but everyone needs to do it. Everyone needs to embrace that.
Men are getting better.
That's true.
But I feel that women start younger. I see my kid. My daughter's 17. My son's 13. My daughter and her friends, they talk to each other about stuff that feels slightly more meaningful.
Yeah.
All the time and reflective on their feelings and who they are and who they want to be.
We didn't do that.
We even with my closest friends, we're just arseholes to each other incessantly throughout our entire childhood and adolescence and into adulthood. Yeah. Only now, as I approach 50, can I sometimes sit down with mates and go, how you doing? And sort of be a bit self-effacing and talk nicely to each other. Yeah. So I'm trying to encourage more of that.
Definitely. And I love the idea of glamorizing rest. Yeah. That's just perfect. I don't know if you're anyone who watches Friends, but my son's been watching it again. There's that fantastic episode where Ross and Joey are having a nap. Have you seen that? I've just watched it recently. It's so brilliant.
But you know what? Friends is actually a really good reference.
It's so ahead of its time for things like that.
Because those characters, Joey and Chandler, are like, they have those lazy boy chairs,
totally.
and their whole lifestyle is about trying to take it easy. But they're kind of fun guys who you kind of would quite like to be like when you're young,
absolutely. So, Sam Delaney, stop shitting yourself. We have some copies, so I really hope you'll grab yourself one. It's fantastic. Sam, thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks for having me again.
Really
I'll be
great
back
to
next
chat to
time.
you.
I'll just wait at
Yeah,
the usual
just
Premier
wait.
Inn round
Just
the corner.
wait, yeah.
Wait for the call.
We've got a few drinks you can take with you.
Yeah, cheers. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Hopefully you'll stick around a bit.
Yeah, I will, of course. Cheers.
Thank you. Helen. Where's Helen? Yay! Come on. So please welcome Helen Masters from Sober AF Dating. Yay! So I haven't met Helen before. It's so great to meet you, Helen. And so your partner in crime is Jonathan, who is also here. And so I came across just what you do, and I had a chat with Jonathan, and I don't think I'd ever really thought, is there anything going on for people who want to date and they're sober? And it seems like there hasn't been much, but thankfully there is now. Which is fantastic, because, in the Sober Club, I mean, not always actually messages on the group, but I'll quite often get private messages from somebody saying, I'm kind of in the dating game again, often, depending on your age, of course, it's second or third time around, and I'm in the dating game again, and I really don't know what I'm meant to do. So how, we were just talking about identity, right, with Sam, but what identity have I got now then, now that I'm kind of putting myself out there? Do I announce that I am sober and you must be too? Or, oh my God, minefield. Anyway, tell us what you do first. Tell us about Sober AF Dating.
Okay, so Jonathan and I have been friends for some time, and he set up a business a while back, and I set up my own. I run a consultancy and commercial business, so I've always done been in a very male-dominated environment in the boardroom, and you have to puff your chest out that bit more, because I'm 46, so not one of the younger pups, and so I had to go through that horrible stage of being the female in the male boardroom, and so I've always had to work that bit harder, be that bit bigger, puff my feathers out that little bit more, and I was talking to Jonathan one morning because we had been on a similar sober journey, and I was dating. God, we all know what that's like, ladies, right? If we've not been through dating, and I'd not dated sober, I'd just found my sober self, and I thought, right, maybe I need to get back out there. And I don't know who got bored of my stories of disastrous dates first, me or Jonathan, but every Monday morning, if he asked, did you have a date at the weekend? And then sometimes he stopped asking me.
Right.
Because
come on, you're going to have to share a couple. Just to, just for fun.
The one that started this off, the one that flipped us, there was quite a hot guy, and you see a profile picture, and you've only got the usual, your Bumble, your Hinge, I didn't use Tinder after the Tinder swindler come out. I forgot about that one. But I went to the other ones, and I was like, right. And the minute you say you're sober, or you put don't drink.
So you did put that on your profile?
I did. Mm-hmm. Mountain messages, oh, you must be fun at a party. God, I bet you're boring. And some of the sexual innuendos that come out as well, I was like, wow, this is a lot. And I'm not sensitive. Being in the male environment I'm used to, I'm very robust. So I thought, imagine if a woman was coming across this, that was newly sober, that was faced with this all the time. Anyway, moving past that, I decided, okay, I'll try one more date. And we were chatting for quite a while, and he was totally embracing. I don't drink much either, only occasionally. I only have one or two. And I thought, okay. I said, I don't mind somebody drinking. I just don't want to drink. So, fine. So we met in London. Anyway, long story short, I got there. He was I booked a nice restaurant. We've done this. I got there. Where did you book? Well, I didn't book anywhere because I thought I'd see if you turned up first. And then I thought I'd make sure you look like your pictures, so I didn't have to drink enough so that you would. Right? And I thought, Jesus Christ, if this isn't going to make me start drinking again, I don't know what is, right? So I sat there, I'll go through one, I'll have another drink. So I was drinking like a mocktail, and by the time we'd got to even leave for dinner, he'd had 7 pints of Guinness.
Oh, wow.
To the point that when he went to the toilet, the two lads on the table next to me started discussing, oh, you two, how long have you been married? I said, does it even look like that? Wow. And I thought I'm doing a really good job of hiding how pissed off I actually really am here. Yeah. And I went to the toilet, and if I hadn't got to go around a one-way system to get back, I'd have done a runner.
Yeah.
I'd have gone, I'm going, because I've come to London, I live in Oxford, I've come out of my way, and this is not for me. And I'm quite Jonathan will tell you, sometimes has to put a lid on me because I'm a bit brutally honest, right? So I'm like, oh, Helen, do I go back and tell him about himself? No, Helen, just don't turn around and drop any words just yet. And I think he realised, he tried to rein it in. So we went for dinner, we forced ourselves through dinner. And I was just, at the end of that, I was like, this is just not for me. And I thought, that's it, I'm not dating, I'm done. I'm just done. I'm quite happy home with my dog. Me and my dog, my 2 sons are older, me and my dog are great. And me and Jonathan, literally, it was a Monday morning, and I rang him on the way into London in the office. We were chatting about something, and I said, oh, how did your date go? Don't ask. Yeah. And then we got talking, and I said to him, there's got to be, when I've looked for sober dating, it's people in recovery or people that have been on a journey. And I've got no issue. Everybody's on their own journey, right? But we weren't those people. We were people that had drunk, didn't have a recovery issue. It was just, we realised, if I'm being honest, when I drank too much, I was a dick. Yeah. I was an absolute dick. And I'd wake up in the morning with the worst anxiety. Who have I pissed off now? What have I said now? Have I punched anybody? Who did I swill? And who's that next to me? You know, it was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I'm 46, get a grip of yourself,
It's
masters.
a result, isn't it, waking up sober?
Oh
it really
God,
is. It never ever gets old, does it? Never gets old.
Jonathan had said, because he runs a very successful business outside of this, he said, I looked at that when I first went sober, because he's settled, well, he didn't have the dating issues that I did, but he knew people that were also sober. And he said, I looked at this, I've kept a sober domain from a long time ago. And I said, funny you should say that, because I registered sober AF dating as well. And this was the first time we talked about it. And he said, well, your name's better than my name, but we had the same idea. So I said, AF being obviously the as fuck, but also alcohol free. So it fit, and I was like, we like that. And we started talking about it, and I've got a very good group of formidable female entrepreneurs and quite a few influencers and a few people in the sporting world I'm quite close to, and I banded the idea around, and everyone's like, what an idea. Yeah. It's great. There's dating for the recovery and the alcoholics and the NAs and then there's those. And I was like, what about the ballsy ones? What about those of us that just don't want to drink anymore?
Yeah, we've chosen to be alcohol free,
But we're not boring, and I'm sick of people saying, men say, you must be boring, you must be fun in bed, but you don't do this. And I'm like, what on earth is wrong with these people? But let's be ballsy. Let's stick 2 fingers up at them, and let's actually put a platform out there. And we were going to try and research for a while. We did a bit, but all of a sudden, it's just snowballed. Everybody's gone, we love it. We've been asked to do so many things, documentaries, podcasts, big thing that's coming out I can't talk about much lately at the moment, but it'll be very obvious soon. And it's like, wow, this was needed. The amount of messages we've got. So, yeah, we're
That's
kind
fantastic.
of running before we can walk a little bit, but we're finding our feet
So
as we go.
let's just be really clear about what it is. So it's an app.
We're building an app.
Yeah.
We started initially without, we were told, don't worry about an app, because you do it this way and this way and this way. So we tried a couple of options, and we very quickly realised it wasn't very authentic. Some of the things we were being shown was a few fake profiles already on there, and it wasn't very, we were like, we'd rather have small and be quality over quantity, and be that platform that even if people are 100 miles from each other, they're genuine people, then fill it with fake. And people that were there for the wrong reasons. So we pulled it very quickly and went, we need to do this really properly. But we soon realised as well there was a community feel, and people were loving the vibe that we were creating. So we said, well, we need to build more of a community. And they're not just an app, which is in the process now. So hopefully in the next, all being well, three months that will go live. But we're building some in real life events. We're building a network of people now. Like we've got things at some very good restaurants, some fun in real life. Well, they'll be on the website soon when we upload them. We've been in London today just arranging lots of things for people within the sober community that might not want to go on a one-on-one date, but might want to be a group, of people to come and... So it started as sober dating. It is mainly sober dating, but we're actually doing more stuff collectively that will involve...
So it's all about connection, isn't it, really? And just that... It just, I mean, look at this tonight. It's just so amazing to be with, even though we probably don't have an awful lot in common, we have that in common.
Exactly.
And that's kind of everything, really, isn't it? There's just that absolute magic about being in a room with other people who've, been through that same thing. And, the other thing is I think that when people are sober, they're much nicer, don't you? And much kinder.
Oh, 100%.
Much
100%.
nicer.
And do you know what it's like when I don't know, is anybody in here single?
Oh, well, there you go. Okay.
So,
You love it. She's happy to stay single.
I love being single too.
But you can still go to one of her parties.
You come to parties for the fun. Yeah, drop us a DM and come. We've actually got one in London next Friday. In fact, I'm going to share this with you because he told me I could. But there's a very good chef, very famous chef called Aldo Zilli. A few of you might
we know Zilli. Of course we do, yeah.
He's just opened a Mayfair restaurant called Undercroft at the end of last year. And he's a very good friend of ours and a good friend of mine. And I spoke to him today. We've been to see him and we're putting on a little event there next Friday for some of our community. So if anybody's interested, please drop us a DM on the Sober AF Dating Insta. And he's an Italian chef, 2.5 years sober.
Yay.
So it's not all world's well known that he's sober, and he is a sober chef, which, as you can imagine, comes with its own challenges in a kitchen.
Yeah.
So we were talking a lot about this earlier on, and I've lost my trajectory now, so this is the perimenopause kicking me in the arse as well. This doesn't help.
No, we're just talking about the power of connection and community and going out for the evening, even if you don't want a date.
People, if they want to get you into bed, they pretend to say, "Hi, babe, how are you?" first. And then they've got a kind of a backstory to try, and they've got an agenda. And it's like with the drinking thing. I think when you've got... The minute I said I don't drink, people would just drop off the face of the planet, because it was like, what am I going to do with you then? How can I go for a drink? Because that whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shall we meet for a drink?
Yeah. Isn't it bizarre, though? Because the word drink, I mean, we're all drinking, aren't we? We're just not putting poison in our bodies.
And how many profiles I've seen with that same line of, if you don't look like your pictures, you're buying the drinks until you do. Come on. So, exactly. So, with this kind of, people know where they stand straight away. It's kind of we all know, and we aren't discounting people that drink as well. We've made a decision to say, people that drink mindfully, we will invite them into the app as well, but not somebody that's going to go out. If somebody drinks on an occasion. I've got friends that haven't drunk for 18 months, but they won't call themselves sober, because if they want a drink, they'll have one. So we don't want to ostracize people, but again, we're not just an app for the people that are in recovery either. It's those of us in the middle of the road, right, that have kind of want to... Yeah, just have a space where we can be authentically ourselves, show the world we're not boring.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Be a bit ballsy.
Yeah. So people can connect with you at the moment. People can connect with you through Insta.
We've got Insta. We have a landing page where they can register, so that when the app is ready, and then obviously when we have live events like we're doing next week, we will drop an email to people. And we're not going to, at the moment, we've got a few smaller ones, which will be the first come, first serve. And then as we grow...
I love the idea of the events, because I think, there will be people like Michelle who, single, but is not thinking of dating, so may not sign up to the app straight away, but that's okay. But you can just still go to an event and meet other people, and 100%. That's really cool, isn't it?
Michelle, I don't want one either. But I can't say that out loud, because it's not looking good for our app, is it? So Jonathan's going to kill me when I go and sit back down for
and of course,
because he enjoys pimping me out at the moment. Yeah. So I can't...
And of course, this is your perfect venue.
I know.
Absolutely amazing,
exactly.
Low and no alcohol-free bar with,
do an event here.
you just literally come and sit at the bar with your mates in central London.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get better, does it?
Exactly that.
So it's very exciting, Helen and Jonathan, and I think it's amazing what you're doing. I think it's super exciting. So well done, you guys.
Thank you very much.
And so just remind us again how we find you.
So it's Sober AF Dating on Instagram. And you can DM us. As Jonathan has his own page as well on there, and so do I. But as a collective, we've got the page. Drop us a follow, messages, anything. We'll keep you in the loop. And we're going to start a podcast soon.
Excellent.
Just for dating disasters or the funny stuff. The funny stuff. So if anybody's got any stories they want to share or they want to come on and share, please tell us, because we can't wait to hear everybody's stories as well.
Excellent. So. Love it. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yay! And he's back. William Porter. Yay! Give him a big round of applause. We've done two of these, haven't we, William? We've done two of these together. Is it one?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we always have to get you back for more. Everyone here know who this is? Does he need any explanation? Well, for anybody listening to the podcast, how many years have you been sober?
Just gone 11. So
Is
11
it really?
in February.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. So obviously, Alcohol Explained.
Yep.
I mean, such a life-changing book. And literally, it must have been life-changing for you, because, I mean, if if I remember rightly, you were doing other stuff completely before you kind of got catapulted into this world.
Yeah, still am.
Yeah, well, yes, of course. You've got a real job, haven't you? He's actually got a real job. How'd you fit it in?
Not very well at the moment.
But so just take us back, just for anyone who hasn't heard your story, because I know we've spoken in the past about how you were quitting, but you kind of really wanted to dig into the science behind it all, didn't you?
Yeah, so I was drinking very heavily. I was always a binge drinker, so weekends would come and I'd just drink and drink and drink. And it got to the stage where I'd wake up in the night and drink and go back to sleep and then drink in the morning. So I was literally just drinking straight through. And the weekends got longer and longer. So obviously you start ringing in sick on a Monday and then drinking again on the Monday. So I went to AA a couple of times, but I kind of didn't really click with it. But what I think allowed me to stop was just understanding it all. So it was just really cobbling it all together and trying to work it out. Almost, a lot of people try and understand addiction from the outside, but it was almost being on the inside and trying to make sense of it.
I think if you've got that kind of analytical mind, it's actually really important to do that piece, that logic piece, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it opens up a few key points, because I think when you start to really understand it, you start to see alcohol differently, and you stop putting it on a pedestal. It becomes something a lot more basic. And I think the other key thing it does, it stops you blaming yourself for it.
Absolutely.
Because when you're struggling with it, at the end of the day, it's you that decides to have every drink.
Yeah.
So you're waking up feeling awful and it's my fault, I drank too much again. So it's very easy to kind of blame yourself for it. But actually, when you understand it, you can see it's not you, it's the alcohol.
Exactly.
Simple as
it's
that.
the alcohol that's addictive. So I recommend that pretty much everybody reads your book, because I think it is a game changer to have that knowledge and to have that kind of logic piece. And then when you've kind of got that logic piece, of course you need all the motivation and everything else. But having that factual bit, it is important, because as you say, it's not our fault, is it? It's the alcohol.
No, and I think it...
which I didn't realise, I mean, I genuinely didn't, even though I thought I was a relatively bright person. I genuinely did think it was literally just me being, utterly useless and having no willpower. And I still used to believe all that absolute BS about actually alcohol's good for you, a glass of red wine, good for the heart, all that BS. So it's only when you actually dig deep with books like yours that you really get to grips with, well, actually, there are zero benefits. Let's just tell it like it is. And even one glass is harmful. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think the problem is as well, we all project an image. So, when you're drinking, you're not turning around to people and, it's all good fun and all the rest of it. You don't tell them about waking up in the middle of the night feeling awful. And the amount of people I've spoken to and explained how alcohol affects your sleep, and that's why you wake up in the middle of the night. And they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. I thought it was just me. Yeah. So everybody out there's drinking and suffering from insomnia, and no one's actually talking about it and cobbling it together.
Yeah. And I know one of the things that you have shared with us in the Sober Club, actually, is some really good stuff around cravings. So just share a bit about that for anyone who hasn't kind of come across the way, because I think you describe it really, really well.
Yeah, so cravings, people often think about cravings are kind of just this thing that happens to you and you can't do anything about it, but it's a very specific thought process. And it's when the thought of a drink enters your mind, you start to obsess and fantasize about it. And it's a massive distraction. So it can be that kind of real white knuckle thing when you're desperate for a drink, but equally it can just be like a cloud hanging over you. So you're at a social occasion, you're driving, you're just not enjoying yourself quite as much because you're not drinking. And it starts to impact things hugely. Not only does it explain that real difficulty people have with not drinking, with stopping, but it also feeds into just your whole life. And it's how people get to the stage of, like a holiday. It's a really enjoyable thing, right? But a lot of people don't like the idea of going on holiday and not drinking. Because
it's what we've always done,
isn't it? It's what we've always done, but holidays are only enjoyable if you're enjoying them, if you're concentrating them, engage with them. If instead you're sat there just thinking, oh, I wish I could have a drink, you're not enjoying the holiday. So when you get to that stage, it's that simple psychological trick where nothing's quite as enjoyable without a drink.
Yeah, absolutely. And also tell us a bit about fading effect bias, which is not in fact fab, because you did a really nice piece for us in the Sober Club about that as well. Because that, I mean, I think probably if I had to tot up the subject of the most messages I get, it's exactly that. It's, you know, I was doing really, really well, and so I figured, well, I can just have one, and wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah, so fading affect bias it's a universal trait whereby we look back on past events more positively than when we experience them. No one really understands why it's there, but it's universal, so it's not just people in the Western world, it's entirely...
Well, it's probably to protect us, don't you think, really? Because if things are really, really terrible, you know, I mean, huge trauma, we can't really process it. We can't carry it, can we, the whole time?
No, exactly.
So perhaps we're meant to kind of switch off. I mean, let's put it this way. We'd never have more than one baby if we...
Yeah.
Would we?
No, absolutely. But yeah, so that's exactly, I think that's one of the prevailing theories. It just helps you maintain a more positive outlook because you just look back and it's sort of nostalgia.
Just remember the good stuff.
Yeah, the good old days kind of thing. So it works fairly well for us, but not when we're looking at addiction.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, alcohol's maybe 5% in inverted commas pleasure, and then that wears off, leaving anxiety, bad sleep, elevated heart rate. So out of 100% of the experience, you've got maybe 5% that, and it's not real pleasure, it's just sedation. But when you stop drinking after a few months, you just think back to that enjoyable bit and none of the rest of it.
Yeah.
So it really works against you. And I think this was one of the key things for me understanding, because we quite often think that drinking is a challenge, but there's different parts that come at different stages, and fading affect bias kicks in months or even years down the line. So I think people need to be aware of it, because those thoughts will enter your head.
Absolutely.
And you need to guard against them, because the problem is fading affect bias is seeing it really warped. You're just looking at that 5%. But when you go back to drinking, you go back to the reality. And I think that's one of the things I used to do. I'd stop for a bit, miss it and go back to it. But then when I went back to it, it's like, oh, yeah, I remember why I wanted to stop in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's never really about the alcohol, is it? It's just the associations. It's not the actual alcohol, really, for anyone.
Yeah, I think a lot, like many things in life, it's the idea rather than reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think it's everything we associate with it, which is why the fading affect bias often kicks in when it's, you know, lovely sunny day, or it's a open fire and you used to have a glass of red wine, or you're at the airport, and obviously at the airport, I mean, what else would you do at 3 a.m. other than queue for a drink, you know? And it's just all those old associations, and our brain is kind of wired to do what we've always done.
Yeah, and I think the problem is when, you know, most of us drink throughout our lives, so you look back on these past events and think, oh, that was really fun because it was alcohol. And I've had a lot of people contact me and say, yeah, I've stopped and I'm glad to have stopped, but I did have some good times on alcohol. And I always say, you would have had good times without alcohol.
Yeah.
No one just lives a miserable life because they haven't drunk.
Yeah,
it just so happens,
we should mention as well, I'll open up for questions in a moment, but we should mention as well your excellent book on diet and fitness, which I thought was fantastic. I thought it was quite brave tackling that, but you did it really well. You were just kind of, well, I've looked it all up and I've done some research, and well, this is it. This is what I found. It's like, okay. And you actually explain how much water we need to drink. I mean, who does that? You just, everywhere you look, it will just say, well, you need 8 glasses a day. But you say not necessarily, right?
I just drink when I'm thirsty. I kind of have faith
now,
in
how
the...
old style can you get? Now, that's old style diet and fitness, isn't it?
Well, we've evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. So I think human beings have been around for about 600, in our anatomical form at the moment, about 650,000 years. For the vast majority of that, no one told us how much water to drink.
No one was carrying around a bottle, right?
We just got thirsty and we drank, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. And the way you explain sugar, which of course links very much to anyone who's ditching the booze, because everyone gets their sugar head on and on and on. So you talk about sugar. You also, talk about the evils of artificial sweetness, which is probably my next hobby horse after quitting alcohol, because artificial sweeteners are the devil's own work. And you pretty much say that in the book. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
So it's a great book, and nicotine explained as well. So,
Yes.
I mean, I've never smoked, thank God, but I have a friend who used that book and quit.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's clearly a good one too. And did you ever get any further on the coffee book? I'm not going to interview you about it, by the way,
So I can't
because I ain't giving it up.
I can't remember when it was I was here last, but it was
You were saying
a
you were
year
gonna do
or
it.
2 ago. I was halfway through it, and I'm no further through it now.
Good. I'm pleased to hear it. I ain't going down that slippery slope. I love my coffee. Just stop it.
I was doing well with it, and then I started drinking coffee again, and I
Quite right too.
kind of feels a bit wrong
Quite
writing
right
the book, and I'm still drinking lots of tea
Always
and
be
coffee.
authentic, William.
Yes.
Very important. So what is next for you then?
I'm not sure at the moment. So I'm doing funny enough, I'm doing a coaching diploma.
Excellent.
Which is really interesting. So I've always kind of had in mind, a lot of people contact me about doing one-to-ones, and I'll finish off and see where that leads.
Yeah, okay. And I've no idea how you keep a real job with all of this going on.
Yeah, like I say, not very well.
But, I mean, I'm guessing Alcohol Explained just carries on selling
it just does
loads
its own
of copies.
thing. Yeah, it just keeps going. Yeah, so that's it's kind of nice to know, because it's obviously only does that because people recommend it, and people don't recommend it unless it's helping. So it's kind of like a double bonus.
And you've also got you've got Alcohol Explained 1 and 2, and you've got the workbook as well?
Yes, there's a workbook on it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Amazing.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, William. It's
pleasure.
always great to hear your take on everything. Are there any questions? William, do you want to come back and take the mic? I'll just give you my 2 penneth, and then we'll let William answer that as well. So I don't think this addictive personality thing is really a thing. I think we all have a propensity to, whatever it is, bigger, better, faster, more. But I think if you've quit alcohol, you can use all the same principles to, in inverted commas, manage sugar. But I think sugar is different. This is just my personal opinion, because it's food, depending on what form you're having it in. Right? So what I always kind of recommend is, if you're in the early weeks of ditching the booze, then you're going to have a sugar head on, and you kind of just got to accept that. But the really good news is you can do healthier swaps. You can have much healthier versions of sugar. And of course, there's this lovely expression: is it that you're actually craving sugar, or is it that you just want more sweetness in your life? Ah, yes, you see. In which case you can ask Sam for some tips. Maybe instead of reaching for the sugar, you could go have a nap, Because there is that halt, isn't it? We have to ask ourselves, is it actually that I'm hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? And the first one, the hunger, is a really important one, because often when you crave sugar, it's not sugar you're craving, you just need to bloody eat. Right? And so often we forget, just like when we were drinking, I would drink when actually I was just hungry. The amount of women in the sober club who'll tell me, the difficult time for me is 5:30 and I'm making the kids tea and I have to have a drink then. No, you don't. You have to eat your dinner, is what you have to do while you're making that food. It's not about the alcohol. It's actually that you need good nutrition. And the better your nutrition, the less sugar you want to put in. So in the Sober Club, we've got loads of resources around sugar. One of the tips is to, do you have a juicer? It's really worth getting yourself a juicer, because even if you're not into juicing generally, to get you over that period, that kind of craving period, you make yourself a green juice, right? Just bung everything in. And nobody can eat a bag of Haribos after that. Or even a donut. So, because then you've got a bit of fruit sugars and some veg in there, and it's straight to the cells, and it's super good for you. So there are loads and loads of amazing sugar swaps. I mean, dates in the freezer, they're perfect. Any other suggestions from anybody who's got lovely suggestions for healthy sugar swaps? Yeah?
The date and peanut butter.
Yeah, yes, exactly. You put the peanut butter on the date. Yeah, absolutely. Dark chocolate is always a winner, and dipped in the date and peanut butter. I love it. So there are lots of swaps. It's just training yourself, I think, to realize that often when we talk about sugar, what we mean is really, really crap confectionery, which isn't actually food. But when we look at proper, in inverted commas, sugar, well, we need some of it, don't we, for fuel? So it's just about retraining our kind of thoughts and asking, do I actually want this? Or is it that I need to actually just do something else, or have a healthier version of said thing, as it were, rather than that approach that I really don't agree with, which is that we must quit all sugar. Because the danger there is people end up having artificial sweeteners, which, as I mentioned earlier, are in fact the devil's own work. But anyway, what do you say?
So I kind of look at it that life has its ups and downs, okay? There's always difficult times to come. Sometimes you can do something about them, sometimes you can't, or sometimes it takes time to get through them. And when you're finding these difficulties, it's natural to look for a coping mechanism. So drinking and smoking and drugs generally, you get very used to consuming something to change how you feel. And I don't think there's an addictive personality, but I think you can get into bad coping mechanisms where, okay, I've stopped drinking, I've stopped smoking, what else can I consume to change how I feel? Oh, I drink loads of coffee or eat loads of chocolate or whatever. And sometimes it's a question of deliberately choosing different coping mechanisms, because there's a lot of them out there. I mean, obviously there's drugs and fast food and all the rest of it, but then there's woodwalks and going out in nature and exercise.
Forest bathing.
Reading
Napping.
books, just anything that you enjoy doing. But I think for me it's worth deciding what they're going to be in advance. So, I've had a bad day at work, what am I going to do? Sit there and eat chocolate, or what, I'll go out for a walk, or I've got this particularly good book I can read, or there's a box set I'm really enjoying. So it's a way of distracting you from it, but deliberately choosing healthier, better options.
Yeah, it really comes back to knowing your resources, doesn't it? Knowing what's going to work for you. Yeah. Fantastic, thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, do you want to come and take a mic, Sam? Because obviously we're recording, so I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, so my question regarding the sort of work and career priorities and the achieving is that my problem is that the fun I gain in life is from work.
Right. Well, that's fine then.
I mean, I nap as well. I do the siesta every day. I do work in 2 sort of shifts, pre and post siesta. But actually, I do enjoy working. I found it very difficult to find something that's fun. I actually quite like doing that. I mean, I stopped drinking almost a decade ago. And the definition of fun, I don't know if anyone else has had the same problem. If I'm asked, what do you find really fun? I now actually have a difficulty answering that question other than doing work.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to go in the forest.
Well, no, if you're happy, it doesn't matter.
I do find Labrador dogs. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
Labrador dogs, and I really enjoy that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy what I do for work. I do enjoy my work, but I'm lucky not everyone does. But I write and talk for a living, which is all I ever really wanted to do, and I really enjoy that. But I personally, it's not the work itself, it's the sense of self-worth being linked to that to too great a degree. That was my issue. If you have that under control and you enjoy work, it's like there's not really a question to answer, because it's like, great, that's brilliant. I'm not saying, just like I don't say to people who can drink in moderation and enjoy it, you have to stop drinking. It's the same with work. I don't say quit work. I love what I do for work personally, but I think I crossed the line when I was doing it so much, and it was probably because I never felt as if I'd doing enough. I felt guilty and ashamed when no matter how much I did, I always felt I could do more. And I realised I was just linking my own sense of value to the work. Yeah. Now I draw enjoyment from my work, and it has it's a nice part of my life. Family is, my hobbies are, exercise might be, music is, and all the other things I draw enjoyment from. So for me, it's balance. But if you are enjoying what you do for work and you don't think that work is the only thing you can do to make yourself feel worthwhile, then there's no problem at all. And there's loads of people like that. Yeah. For me, I was measuring myself too much on the basis of my productivity, which is, a word that I hate, really. I just like, I work mainly to earn money, but secondly, I'm lucky in as much as I enjoy work too.
Thank you. Great question. So thank you, guys. I really appreciate you coming along tonight. It's so lovely to see you. Please make sure that you chat to everyone. I don't know if anyone's here on their own or anyone who doesn't know anyone else, but make sure that you do by the time you leave, for sure. And thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And obviously, you know where to find me on social media, @Janie Lee Grace. And if you want to join us in the Sober Club, you are very welcome. We've got some fabulous stuff in there from courtesy of William. Thank you for that. I don't know if I've ever said thank you to you in person. I've probably said thank you a lot of times. He's done some really great stuff for us. So in our member portal, there's all these really great exclusive sessions. So we're very grateful. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you coming, and see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by the Sober Club.
please rate and review. And if you want support, accountability and inspiration, and you want to live your best life without the booze, check out thesoberclub.com.